Hello, Digidestin, and welcome back to the King Sports. Now, okay, I was not expecting this. I don't think a lot of us were. So apparently, a new card just got revealed and it's been leaked, and oh boy, this is a very interesting one. So, if you can see this thumbnail, and I'm pretty sure you can see the title of the video, this is a brand new X antibody. I'm gonna be honest with you. As soon as I heard that it was a new X antibody, I thought it was gonna be called X Antibody 2 or something. So, but no. From what I can tell so far, it's called X Antibody PF. So, I'm gonna read out the effect in a sec and go over and give some examples and how I think this card could be used, and overall just give my opinion on this card. So, me and Chandler Michaels, he already told me what he thinks. So, if you've seen his most recent deck profile on Machine Dramon that he did, he spoke at the end of that video about the new X Antibody a little bit, that he would play it in Machine Dramon. If you want to see like his full-on opinion on that card there, go ahead and go check that out. So, also really quick, if you hear any noise, I'm sorry. We're still in, it's still technically summer weather. So until we get, hopefully we'll get to autumn soon, but it's still warm. So I still have my fan. Hey, what can you do, right? So really quick. Let's just get this shameless plugs out. Now, before we get to that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow our social media in the description. Hit notification bells so you don't miss out on future videos. And let me know in the comments, what do you think of this card? Do you think this card is gonna... I've heard some people on my Discord that me and my friends are all in, some people saying that this could replace the current X antibody, like the one you have right here on the screen, but I don't know. I feel like there's some very interesting ideas we can do with this card, so let me know, do you think this card is going to replace it? Do you think it'll be usable? Or do you even think it'll have a place in the future decks? I think it will, but that's the point of this. We'll go over it right now. So, like I said, the card is called X Antibody PF. Now, from what I can tell, the PF stands for the P stands for like primordial or something like that. So that means it's like ancient or something. So, X Antibody PF. While you have a Digimon, you may use this card without meeting its color requirements. So, obviously you can't just play it unless you got a Digimon on field, which I feel like that's kind of obvious, kind of a no-brainer. So, security. Add this card to your hand. Main. One of your Digimon without the X Antibody in its Digievolution cards may Digivolve into a Digimon card with the X Antibody trait in your hand with the Digievolution cost reduced by 1. And if you do, place this card as its bottom Digievolution card. Rule. Apparently this card is always treated as X Antibody. Inherited. All turns. When this Digimon would leave the battle area, other than by your effect, from this Digimon's Digievolution cards, return one Digimon card to the hand and place one X Antibody at the top of your security stack. Oh boy. Okay. There is a lot to unpack here. So right away, it's got 3 effects, just like the original X Antibody. So, really quick, let's look at a few differences. Obviously, this card is a white card, just like the X Antibody, and it seems to be cost 0, just like the original, which, makes sense. I don't know why they wouldn't. Now, really quick, let's look at the artwork. I think that's a Leomon in the back, which is interesting because, not exactly, but they always, hinted that Alphamon was one of the first Digimon to have the X Antibody trait, so I don't know if this is, deeper lore that I'm missing, but, so that's pretty cool. And plus, we've been getting a lot of Leomon support lately, so maybe that's why, I don't know. And this card, the X Antibody itself looks ridiculous. Like, it's all gold and everything. So, right away, this looks like more, I don't know, more powerful, or like just more, it just looks different from the original X Antibody. So, let's look at its abilities. Security. Add this card to your hand. Now, right away, that's one area I feel like the original wins, because as we all know, obviously if you're watching this, I'm pretty sure you either play a deck that uses the X Antibody, or obviously by now it's impossible to avoid it any deck that plays it. So we all know that its security ability, just to avoid any issues. Security. Gain 1 memory, add this card to its owner's hand. Okay, that's kind of an issue right there. That does suck that it doesn't get... dang. What's up with my voice today? It doesn't, unfortunately, allow us to gain a memory, which kind of does stink, because that was always one of the cool things about X Antibody. I mean, it's just like Hammer Spark for blue decks. You can gain that memory, and sometimes that memory does help out, because your opponent could be like at 0 or something, or basically memory choking your opponent, and the fact that if they're at 0 or something, right away just go to your turn if they hit it. So that does kind of stink. So hey, but its other ability, its main ability, this is interesting. One of your Digimon without an X Antibody in its trait, Digivolution cards. Okay, interesting. So that means a Digimon that isn't an X Antibody. Like, really quick, I'll use this as an example, if I can find it. There it is. Okay, here's a quick example. Agumon. I'll be using the promo 2000 plus Agumon. Now, this is called Agumon, right? Now, obviously, it doesn't have the X Antibody trait, but we do have Agumon X, which does. So, but this is a bad example. Hold up. This is a bad example because it doesn't cost anything. Hold up. Let's see. Bingo. Alright. Black War Greymon. Since, Black War Greymon's the deck we discussed the most on here in this channel. Alright, Black War Greymon into Black War Grey X. Now, obviously if you're watching this, you're probably familiar with the channel, but if not, primarily I discuss strategies behind the Black War Greymon deck, just because it's my favorite deck, favorite Digimon, yada yada yada. I've said this before in other videos, so that's why I like to discuss it the most here, and I've been meaning to do an update meta-analysis on Black War Greymon against the meta right now, because Black War Greymon stands a really good chance right now against all these crazy decks. Shine Greymon, Mirage Galgamon, what's his name? The Demon Lord of what's his name? Diaboromon. I suck with names, I'm so sorry. But I'll get to that soon, because if you've seen Chandler Michael's recent Machine Dramon deck, we're actually getting ready for our locals next store championship, which, as recording of this video, should be the weekend. I'm uploading this during the week. I mean, during the weekend of the week this is uploaded will be our local store championship. And I'm not gonna lie, I got in. If you're subscribed to the channel for a couple of months now, at our last one I got second. So I'm aiming for the top descent. So I want to do like an overall discussion on Black War Greymon before that. We'll probably both upload something involving that. Chandler Mark will do his Machine Dramon one. I'll do a Black War Greymon one later this week. So if you're not already subscribed so you don't miss out on that. So if you're not familiar, or obviously it's a pretty well-known deck at this point. Well, obviously it's one of the top deck. It was like the top deck for a while. Black War Greymon X requires 2 memory to Digivolve on top of the original Black War Greymon. Now, pretend really quickly this is the new X Antibody. instead of 2 memory, we can digivolve for 1. Now, that's actually pretty nuts, if you ask me. That's honestly pretty crazy. So, the fact that we can just digivolve for 1 is good because there are a lot of times, and I mean a lot of times, where that 1 extra memory can play a vital role in our overall strategy for the game. I could just name like 20 times, probably even more, where there have been tons of times where my opponent memory choked me, and I needed at least 1 more memory, and I could have gone off. But this makes this very interesting. So, that's one benefit. The other one is the other part of this ability. Alright, I'm reading off this off my laptop, so do place this card. Okay, here it is. Here's my one. If you do, alright. Alright, move on it. And then you digivolve to a Digimon with the X Antibody trait in your hand with the Digivolution cards you spell. Alright, if you do, place this card in its bottom Digivolution cards. Ah, here it is. Inheritable. When this Digimon would leave the battle area other than by your effect. So basically other than by its own ability. Like, what's a good example? I don't know, like, I can't really name anything on the top of my head, like a Digimon that would, like, I guess, like, there are a lot of purple cards that like to blow themselves up to gain their abilities, so I guess that's one right there. Matter of fact, from this Digimon's Digivolution cards, return 1 Digimon card to the hand and place 1 X Antibody. So, that's very interesting because the X Antibody, the original one right here, doesn't have an inheritable effect. Well, technically it does, but it never comes up. Effects can't trash X Antibodies in this Digimon's Evolution cards. And when attacking, this Digimon can digivolve into a Digimon. Okay, yeah, but it doesn't have an all turns one like this one. Because, let's say hypothetically, we're swinging in our opponent's security, and they, I don't know, they got something like, what's a good example? They got like Megadeth. Like, let's say hypothetically we're playing against Imperial Dramon. Megadeth would bounce our cards back, right? So, even though, like, let's say hypothetically we burned through our protection already, we can use this new X Antibody's effect. We can add back a card from the Digivolution sources. 1 Digimon card to the hand. Alright. So that means whatever cards are left, we can add them back to our hand. So like in this scenario, we can add back Blackboard Greymon. And then we can place, really quickly, pretend this is it. This X Antibody on top of our security. Which means we'll be adding to our security, which means we'll be healing ourselves, and because we know what the next one is going to be, it'll go straight to our hand. Now, I guess that's probably why they didn't add in the whole gain a memory clause like the original does. Because then that'd be a little too busted. But overall, this is really something. Not only that, all turns when this Digimon would leave the battle area, other than my opponent's effect of this Digimon's evolution, it doesn't say it has to be an X Antibody Digimon. Because you can attach X Antibody to non-X Antibody Digimon, and it's technically what the point is. We attach it to like one of the best examples right now is using here it is. One of the best examples obviously could be using here it is. Now let's say hypothetically we're at 1 memory or even 0, right? Now, man, I'm losing track of all my stuff. Okay. I'll use this as another example. Let's say we have Black or Greymon, right? Now, let's say hypothetically we have the X antibody, right? Obviously, we put it under Black or Greymon. And let's say if we swing with Black or Greymon and they, either bounce back or destroy it, we can use the new X antibody to get back a card evolution source, even though Black or Greymon himself doesn't have the X antibody trait, the original one. And that's really something, because that opens up a lot of possibilities, because now this gives a crazy new layer of protection for any deck that runs the X antibody. Black or Greymon, Alphamon. Oh my god. Speaking of the new X antibody, anyone watching this, has anyone seen the ridiculous busted new support that the Gabumon deck got? It's crazy. These might be the new best X antibody cards. These cards are nuts. Now, obviously, I talk about, Greymon team decks here, but I gotta admit, you Gabumon players, Metal Garurumon players and fans, you guys are eating good right now. Man, those cards are nuts. So, but anyways, this means you could put the new X antibody under a Digimon that isn't an X antibody, and you could still get all the inherited effects. That's pretty nuts, because yes, you could put the original X antibody under a Digimon already, but it doesn't really help unless you got the Digimon for an X antibody Digivolution. Like, obviously, if we put the X antibody like this under Black Wolf Greymon, obviously we're going to plan to go into either Gaiomon or Black Wolf X. But in this case, we could just use it for protection, because we can easily just keep adding the X antibody and use it as a way to keep putting more sources back into our security. So theoretically, we could heal our security, really. So that's very, very interesting. And not only that, the Digievolution reduction is very nice. Like I said, that one memory can be super useful, but that's not the only one. Let's see. Let's see real quick. Now, I know this isn't the most ideal setup usually we would want as Black or Greymon players, but the fact that this is possible really is something to remember. Now, let's say hypothetically we have our Virus Greymon X, the one that we all really still wish was at 4. I know I do. But his main gimmick, the reason he got hit to 1, is because he can reduce Digievolution costs. And for us, that's a very good thing. But for our opponent, obviously, it was deemed a little too powerful. In case you're new to the deck or anyone checking this card out for the first time, his ability is, if he can reduce, when you Digivolve, it can reduce the Digievolution costs by 1 for each one of its colors. So since it's obviously going to be black and red, it's going to be reduced by 2. So back in the day, what we would do before, even when the Raid Greymon as well, but we would primarily use the BT8 Metal Greymon, and 4 is a lot, but because of this, it would just go to 2. So we could Digivolve our opponent's Digimon for 2 and keep climbing up. So, but here's another interesting thing. Let's say, hypothetically, the X antibody, and for the record, since this counts as the X antibody, Virus Greymon's effect is activated, which means we have that protection right there, as well as the protection from this X antibody to put the X antibody back in our traits. And here's another one. This is actually something I just realized. It says that we can add when this Digimon will leave the battle area other than by your effect, from this Digivolon's Digievolution cards, return 1 Digimon. which means we can actually now recycle our virus Greymon, which is crazy because before that when we lost him, that was it. Like if he was in our security, I can personally testify that I have constantly, there have been times that he's been in the security and I lost it and I could have totally used it. But because of this X antibody, if he's at least on the field with this X antibody and we lose him, we can get him back. That's crazy. So, and the other thing is this. Now, let's say, again, this is the most, I know, like the most best setup we would want, but let's say we're in a tight situation. We need to hurry up and get to, I don't know, Black or Greymon or Gaiamon or something. He reduces the cost by 2, and the X antibody, let's see, oh yeah, one of your Digimon without X antibody and Stipulation cards may Digivolve into a Digimon card with the X antibody trait in your hand. Cards. So, basically, what we can do, sorry, is if we have this one, we can, now this really depends obviously on your, what you're running, obviously. But right now, the Raid Metal Greymon is probably the most used right now. So, because it costs 3, it's a 3 cost on top of the Digimon Greymon in its name. And this reduces it by 2. That means, for 1, we can go to Metal Greymon. Now, Metal Greymon doesn't have the X antibody trait, but thanks to this new X antibody, we can go into Metal Greymon, the black and red one, for free. Which means we managed to climb up all the way to Metal Gray X with the X antibody under it for 1 memory, basically. That is crazy. And don't forget Metal Greymon X's ability, because right now this one is probably a little more, okay, obviously it's always going to come down to a player's choice, but right now with Shine Greymon being as rampant and overpowering as it is right now, well, not overpowered, but like overwhelming as it is right now, this card lets us fight back against Shine Greymon, because when Digivolving until the end of your opponent's turn, this Digimon can't have its DP reduced by your opponent's effects and isn't affected by Digivolve effects. So, this actually will let us be able to climb up into our big guys and not have to worry about DP reduction against Shine Greymon, and also against Mirage Galga, because remember, they also Digivolve, if I remember right. I've only played against it like once. Oh no, they bounce back. Hey, but that's even another example. We got, if we have Greymon, the Greymon virus right there, we can save him, and if anything, or if we lose him, okay, we can get Greymon back and put the X antibody on top of our security. These are some crazy, crazy, crazy new effects, and just new ways to fight back that this card just allows us. And really quickly, here is another crazy thing to remember. This card, his name counts as X antibody, which means he's searchable through Agumon X. Because on play, when Digivolving, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 card with Greymon or Omnimon in its name and 1 X antibody among them to your hand. Which means this card is searchable just like the original X antibody. Same with Cool Boy as well, since Cool Boy also does that too. So that is some crazy stuff. Now, there are a few, I don't want to call them minuses, because I feel like this card has its own specific niche to play. But there are a few big differences. One, it does suck we don't get that memory. Oh, man, I'm so sorry. We don't get that 1 memory, and that memory can be very useful. It allows us to be able to memory choke our opponent a little bit better, because there have been times where I've seen people hit that X antibody, they get, a memory is lost, and now they're a little bit, uneasy to keep attacking, because they're worried if they lose their stuff, they can't, there's not a guarantee they can just keep climbing back up. So that's one. A second one, this doesn't have the ability to Digivolve while you're attacking. Now, that could be an issue because there are a lot of times, at least for Black or Greymon. Right now, I'm speaking for this deck primarily. Or, in general, yeah, actually, because I've seen other decks do this too. Alphamon, I know, does it, but so there are times where the swinging, like attacking, and then being able to Digivolve during the attacking stage is very useful. Like, the Raid Greymon, Metal Greymon, is a perfect example. When we swing with Metal Greymon and use his Raid ability, we can choose our opponent's Digimon, and after we choose that, then we can activate the X Antibody to go into Metal Grey X. Either this one or the red one I have right here. Like, this is actually a very common thing right here, where you can swing with your Raid Greymon and then go into either a Metal Greymon, or you can go into your Black or Grey X or Gaiomon. That way, it's guaranteed you'll be swinging over your opponent's Digimon. And the best part, if it's Gaiomon or the red Metal Greymon X, it'll be for piercing for 2 checks. So there are a lot of other great times, like other great examples, like let's say hypothetically you swung with let's say let's say hypothetically you just swung with Black or Grey X, or heck, Gaiomon, right? Now, hypothetically, let's say we want to go into our Omnimon Blitz. There are a ton of times where you could go into your Omnimon Blitz, restand, swing, and then activate the X Antibody to go into Omnimon X. Because if your opponent has like 1 security left, you just go into Omnimon X, you get game. Because you can legitimately just use his ability to trash the security, and then his attack still goes through, you get game like that. I've done that tons of times. So that is one thing that does stink, because there are times where this effect is very useful. So this is what I mean by the new X Antibody has its own niche, but I do honestly think this card is playable. I think this card could be very useful, especially in more stall heavy decks. Like, I could totally see Machine Dramon, because if anyone here has never played against Machine Dramon, that deck is nothing but redirect attacks and blocking. So the fact that deck likes to play defensive, this card will let you be able to get your security back and your Machine Dramon or whatever from the evolution sources, and you can constantly keep playing it safe with that card. So I feel like this card can be extremely useful in more like tankier decks that like to block and redirect. At least that's, just first glances. I'm sure there are tons of other ways this card can be used, and I'm excited, honestly. I'm just really excited. So that's my overall thoughts. I think this card is very useful, very powerful, and going to find its place in the meta. Like, I swear there's going to be a deck that's going to make this card busted. So, that's it for this one. Like I said, later this week, I'm going to be uploading a video on a discussion on Black or Greymon, because that's the deck I'm going to be taking into the next Store Championship, and I'm going to want to like go over the deck and all that sort of thing. So, if you don't want to miss that, as well as channel member Michael's on his Machine Dramon, which should be up tomorrow, hopefully. If you don't want to miss out on that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to also hit the notification bell. And honestly, thank you so much for 141 subscribers. Very grateful. And honestly, just have a great day. Take care. Bye.